Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become the confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am so excited to have Dr. G to be my guest today. And let me tell you a little bit about Dr. G. So Dr. G. Rex Kruhly, the founder of Depth Healing Technology, has been studying and training in his multidisciplinary crafts of health, quantum science, and personal development for over 51 years. His depth healing process uses cutting-edge quantum physics to help individuals remove cognitive dissonance from their subconscious minds. With the cognitive dissonance removed from their subconscious mind, limiting beliefs, traumas, negative thought patterns, and perceptions no longer influence or affect their lives. The emotional and energetic blockages that were holding them back from achieving their goals and living fulfilling lives no longer exist. All this is achieved using a proprietary selection of specific frequencies that Dr. Rex, or Dr. G, channels via quantum unified field. This elevates the client's perceptions, which raises their consciousness and vibration, which engages the law of resonance, causing success, health, positive change to follow automatically. Dr. G guides clients toward a state of coherence and alignment with their true selves and purpose, allowing them to experience profound personal transformation, health, and growth in whatever area they are challenged. Today, our theme is going to be overcoming financial blocks, an expert's guide to reprogramming your mind. Please join me in welcoming Dr. G. Well,
Hello,
this is going to be like a science lesson, a spiritual lesson, a financial lesson. It's going to be all packed with a lot of things, but we always ask a simple question to all of our guests, and that is, where do you call home? Where do you live?
Well, believe it or not, so you're in Roswell, Georgia. I lived with my ex-wife in Beaufort,
Alpharetta?
Georgia.
Oh, Beaufort. Oh,
we first moved to Alpharetta when I graduated as a doc in Texas, and then we went to Georgia, and then we had an apartment in Alpharetta, and then we bought a home. Tammy bought a home on Lake Lanier.
oh yes.
And then I moved in 2015 to Thailand. So I'm a distance healer. My clients are all over the world, and I use a quantum field. Just like I'm looking at this screen, wherever you are, I take care of everything right from here.
That is so cool.
I'm never leaving Thailand.
How long have you been in
I'm from
Thailand?
Canada.
So
I've been
Canada,
here now 9
US,
years.
How many?
9 years now.
9 years. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thailand. It's a very interesting place to live. I only know it by HGTV shows. House Hunters International.
It's an interesting place. Coming here on vacation is lovely, and it's beautiful. Living here is quite different. There's quite a few things for us coming from the West that you have to get used to. Most of my education is samurai Japanese, and I had the illusion Asia was Asia. No, the difference between Japan and Thailand is like the difference between you and an amoeba.
Yeah.
They're 180 degrees opposite.
Yeah.
So I had quite a bit to get used to.
I have been to Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur, and so I was staying downtown, but I always I was at a Toastmasters convention, and so I always go early to be able to experience the place that I'm visiting. And so we got to see the way that the regular people live as opposed to the people in the big fancy hotel. So
it is significantly different.
Yes, and their driving it almost reminded me worse than Italy.
Driving, it took me, I just now, with extensive help from the divine and my own work, to get used to remove the anger or from when you try to drive, because they'll kill you. They are the most unintelligent, unconscious. If you see a dead fish, and the eyes on the dead fish are glass, that's what they look like when they're driving. And they drive against traffic, coming the wrong way, even backwards. They drive without lights at night, in the rain, and they will kill you anywhere, anytime, the only thing I haven't seen here driving, I have never seen a car or a motorcycle fall out of the sky. That is the only thing I have not seen. So now, when I drive, the charges are finally gone, and you just have to laugh, because to them, if they miss you at 100 miles an hour by that much, they consider that normal. That's normal.
Yes. The driving that we did in Thailand, I just had cab drivers, or I guess cab drivers, and I never prayed so much in my life.
It's really true. Like they just, and they die over here. Like they have the highest death rate, I believe, here in Chiang Mai in all of Southeast Asia on the motorcycle. They're morons. When it comes to that stuff, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for a grown man or lady to drive, to enter a freeway where everyone's traveling at, and they don't look. So what they do, they just go on. And they'll show you videos when you get your driver's license. They have the videos, where there's street cameras, and the guy comes on in the truck, and the guy is a stain, and they don't look. It's a semi coming at 150 miles an hour, and they just drive on. To me, that is a what we call in spiritual work a failure of intelligence. Yeah, so you have to. When I first got here, I didn't have I came here with nothing, so I had to build everything from the ground up, and I was poor as a church mouse. So I had a little motorcycle, and I've had, in America, and that I have a perfect driving record. I had 4 crashes.
Wow!
I smashed my shoulders to pieces, and now I have a car, because the last time a lady almost cut me right in half. She was just going to come straight, and so I just, driving here is it's a different world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, other than that, my life here is angelic. It's
just to take a walk. I wouldn't say even ride a bike, because
no way.
That would be like terrifying.
I see these guys driving, how they ride a bike, I'll never know. I wouldn't ride a bike. If I ride a bike, I have a bike, but I go out into the country.
Yeah.
I have no way. I won't even, when you walk here, you gotta walk facing the oncoming to see what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, there's no rules here.
All right,
There's
so
no.
let's get into the meat of this. We'll
Yeah.
have to have another podcast just on our travel experiences in Asia. All right. So your main studies were in the chiropractic field, based on what I read. So
My main studies? What do you mean when you say my main?
When you went to school, to college, it was for chiropractic or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That's correct.
Right.
But
So I just like to know how did you move from chiropractic to becoming this international distance healer? It seems like
the divine told me. So first and foremost, folks, I'm a martial specialist. So you gotta realize I used to teach the United States military how to kill people in hand to hand, right? And I was an Aikido specialist and I'm a sword specialist. So that's like 40, something like 46 years and over 50,000.
wow.
So I carry those old three samurai lineages. And then when I turned in my 40s, I became a doctor. And I have absolutely no regard for allopathic medicine at all. So I went in to study chiropractic. And my type of chiropractic is there's like 250 kinds of chiropractic. My specialty is the mind and consciousness, not cracking bone.
Right.
So I have a spiritual background, mysticism, Zen, all of that. It's not commercial martial arts, real martial art.
Right.
And then I went into the school like that. And then I had absolutely, in America, we moved to Georgia. Georgia doesn't care about consciousness chiropractic. They want bone cracking chiropractic. They like that. They like to hear the sound and feel.
I went to one doctor that does the mind, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they don't make much money. They might be around, but they don't make much money. So I didn't have any success. And I was married to Tammy after we graduated in Houston, Texas, where I graduated. We moved to Georgia, and I opened up had two private offices there, and just no success at all because what I do is too weird for them.
Yeah,
so my wife, our marriage was a homunculus, very unhappy. Tammy's a physical therapist, very high level professional physical therapist. And she was earning the money. That's the only reason we were able to do anything, because no matter what I did, I couldn't make a dime. And at that time, I still didn't know about cognitive dissonance. I learned cognitive dissonance when I moved to Georgia. The real reason to move there was I became the apprentice of the great master who's near you. You can go see him, Dr. Larry Habersky, one of the greatest masters of the quantum field on 2 feet. And I apprenticed under him for 8 years. I learned from him 8 years, and he worked on me constantly. And that's how I learned the craft of the subconscious, and with his help, I was able to master kinesiology so that I can talk to the field. And then one day I was in my prayer room at home, and I got a phone call. And the phone call was from 2 people from New York City. He was a great big man, older man, and he had developed MS. It had been 2 years. His wife was dying of severe stage 4 metastasized cancer. It was all through her whole body. So they called me up. I answered the phone, and I'm literally in my prayer room. Tammy's at work. And they say, we would like to get your help. Now, how they found me, I don't have any advertising at that time. Nobody knows me except the local people there. This is in Beaufort, Georgia. And he says, I have MS. My wife has cancer. Can you help us? And I said to him, how am I supposed to help you, sir? I live in Beaufort, Georgia. You're in New York City. And the voice came right through and said, no, you can fix him from here. The divine told me. And I see, I already had, I was already, as far as being a doctor, I was highly developed. So I already am a Diksha blesser, which is channeling the divine. I was a very significant Reiki master of Tibetan Reiki. That's energy transfer. So the divine taught me right there. So I started to work on, I stopped the MS right away. The cancer, we worked for about 1 month, and her oncologist, bless his heart, convinced her that what I was doing was nonsense. Yeah. So she stopped, and she was dead in just a matter of a few weeks. So I never heard from him again, and that is how I began distance healing. And at first, it was hard for me to believe it too, because there isn't anywhere to learn that. And then the methods that I was learning from Dr. Habersky is best bioenergetic synchronization technique developed by Dr. Ted Morter. So this is all quantum science, but best requires touch, and then it's a very complex system. And I had never had anywhere near enough money to actually attend their courses. So I was just watching how Dr. Habersky did everything. And then the divine taught me how to adapt the frequencies and do it through distance. And that evolved me almost every day, at all times. And then I do very, very extensive personal processes with the divine that constantly increases my empowerments and my ability. So, like for instance, I'm a morphic field specialist. So that means I can work in the cloud. If you give me 30, I can work up to 21,000 people. If I have a collective of people, like if I have all of Microsoft Corporation, and they want me to, relative to a specific metric, change the consciousness of the entire corporation, I can do that, like that. So what I do is it's a torus. Torus means, you know what a torus is? You're made out of a toroidal field. So if you want to see the science and the graphics of that, they have the machines now to measure those things. Oh, really? Just go to the Heart Math Institute under Roland McCready. If you Google Heart Math Institute, you'll see all the research there. And then the mathematics has all been peer reviewed from Nassim Haramein of the Resonance Academy. So a torus means it looks like a tornado. It's an energy field, and the singularity is found inside your heart. So your heart is the core. And then the field goes up like this. It looks like a tornado going up, and it's open-ended at the top. And then it goes down like a pyramid into the ground. It's open-ended at the bottom. And then your heart's energy field, which is a magnetic field, it extends 4 to 6 feet around you. So it's 360 degrees, and that's your actual you. And then the brain has it's a 5,000 times smaller electrical field, and your brain is an antenna array. It's a receiving sending station. None of your thinking or anything like that occurs in your head. That's all peer-reviewed science now too. They have new machine, I think it's called the magnetoencephalogram, and they now know all thinking is occurring outside of your head. Oh, wow. There's a lot to talk about. I talk to you for the next 20 years.
I know.
So the energy, so this is how you're connected with the divine and the universe, okay? And then, so a torus means it's a feed forward, feed backward system. So you're acquiring information coming in from the universe, from your higher self, the real self, and through your body experience, you're sending the information up. So it's a self-learning, self-reinforcing system.
Oh, wow.
So the easiest example for what I do is to think of a computer. If I have 100 laptops from 100 different countries, and they're all connected to the cloud, right? The cloud is a morphic field. Morphic field is an energy field, an electromagnetic field, and the information from your computer, which is stored, it's stored in little photons of light, like that's held together in the field. Think of them like little soap bubbles.
Okay.
So if the laptops are people and their software is their subconscious mind's database, it's all connected to the cloud. So I have 100 computers. I will operate via specific focal point, specific question, like fear.
Yeah.
All 100 computers type in, is there fear in my field? It goes to the cloud. I operate in the cloud. I remove it in the cloud. And then that means it's a feed forward, feed backward system. It feeds back to the computers, to the people. The fear is gone. When I eliminate it, I'll eliminate the fear relative to a specific thing, like say fear of success, or fear of failure, or fear of cancer. Fear of what, doesn't matter what it is. And I will use destructive interference waves, and I will reduce it and remove it. And then I use constructive interference waves to build their consciousness up, make them more coherent, and restore their health or their money, or whatever it is. Like you want to know about wealth. If you are just like me, when I was as poor as a church mouse, I had every kind of degree. I was one of the finest Aikido masters in the entire Western Hemisphere. Can't make a dime. Doesn't make any difference. I know all of the work of Tony Robbins, John Assaraf, Brendan Burchard, Bob Proctor. I can recite all that stuff forward and backward. No matter what I did, I couldn't make any money. Why? I had 27 years of programming for lack. My dad was a great man, but my dad was a Polak that was a son of Polish immigrants that came over during the Great Depression. The only thing they knew was lack. And I inherited all of that through the subconscious mind. And then I'm an emotional person. The more emotional you are, the stronger the imprint. When I became a martial artist, I was the apprentice of Kushida. Kushida, who I later found out was a liar, and he always taught us money is dirty. Samurai don't that's for women. Your wife handles that. Men don't do. That's all a lie. But we didn't know that. All of us young guys worshipped him. So I literally wanted to be like a samurai. So money for me so that is the subconscious. That the subconscious has 1 million times more power than the conscious brain. So it rules everything. Your conscious brain rules nothing. Nothing. It's only operating 5% of the day. And it only processes 40 bits of information a second. 40. Subconscious processes 40 million bits of information per second. It runs everything. That's pure reviewed science. That's why my clients succeed, because I'm a specialist of the subconscious mind. And I do it with surgical precision. That's the difference with depth healing, and that's why I am able to do what I do. And then you change the subconscious, everything changes automatically. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. And in my leadership training, I always talk about the subconscious and how and actually dealing with people trying to get them over their fear of speaking in public and being comfortable talking on camera and things. I have to dig deep to be able to uncover, okay, what is your subconscious really telling you that's keeping you from being successful and being able to speak in front of people? But
see, what you can do is you can get about 40%, and you can overlay if they have let's say they have a real negative, there's a cognitive dissonance of public speaking because they got humiliated in class or something. So you can go about 40% and overlay that. You can use brain reprogramming like Psyche, or and you can talk about it, and you can help them out. And then with some successes in front of people, they finally make it.
Right.
But the problem is the dissonance is still there, and if a real bad emotional trigger, if there's an environmental trigger in there, like say they get up to do something, and they maybe they trip, or there's some kind of something, and somebody laughs. Yeah. The laugh may trigger the dissonance, and then they'll freeze right up, because if it gets triggered, the dissonance isn't gone. Overlay like brain reprogramming without removing the actual dissonance is like building a housing project on top of a landfill. So it looks really good for about 20, 30 years, 40 years, and then everyone gets cancer, and they start dying, and all kinds of stuff happen because the toxins are still under the ground. So no matter how nice the house looks, eventually comes up. Takes time because of epigenetics. The cancers don't just happen right away. That's the kind of problem they have in Houston, all over the place. They build these projects. So subconscious work is like that. That's why in my particular case, I always go in and remove the cause completely. When the cause is gone, then you do the reprogramming, and you got real power.
So I think this really kind of covers what you just talked about. My next question was, how can individuals identify and overcome limiting beliefs and emotional blocks, preventing them from achieving financial abundance and success? So I guess it's tied back to all of those things in their past that are in their subconscious holding
They
back.
Won't find. They won't find. They can try, and you can get a certain amount of clarity. Like if you look back, like I can look back, and I know that I got wounded when I was 6. But I failed grade 1. Mom and dad abandoned me for the rest of my life emotionally, and my elder sister used to torture me, telling me that mom and dad were going to put me in a bag and get rid of me on the front porch and terrify me. So I can identify that. I can go back and I can do self-analysis. But the subconscious, the primary subconscious is, none of it belongs to you. So it's from the time of your conception, all the time through the womb, your actual birthing process, the first 6 hours after you're born. That's the 3rd program. There are 10 programs. So your subconscious is already programmed there. None of it belongs to you at all. You were recording everything at a rate of 40 million bits of information per second, 24/7. Then when you're born, after those first 6 hours to the age of 7, all you are is a recording machine at 40 million bits of information a second. You do not think. The frontal cortex is the thinking area. It is not active. It activates at the age of 7. The trick is, when it activates to start learning and making decisions, it references every single thing, everything, through the database. The database by the age of 7, if you do the math, is about 10 quadrillion bits of information.
Wow.
And the reason you're born, or the reason the universe and God created you that way, is a survival mechanism. If you're born in Manhattan, New York, you require a certain kind of information to be a player, different than a kid born on the Amazon Delta in a little hut. So the subconscious, it requires a massive software. And then when you're 7, you start moving forward. So so when you're trying to find why you can't make why you can't succeed, like for instance, when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I would do all these big seminars like Robbins and that what Robbins is a good man, and his method is the rah method, you know, a lot of hype, but he's got a lot of good science. He's a neuro-linguistic specialist, but it's a lot of hype. Get the state. His idea is get the state up, and that's fine for a little while. So everybody leaves, and they got all their whys, and they've got it all planned out, and they're well-educated people, entrepreneur, and I'm gonna do it, and we'll get this thing going, we'll get the state, and then 3 months later, everything's flat on its back, nothing's working, and then they go back to the next rah, and they get hyped up, and then they falls down. They can't find it, and it might be age 3. Just one little thing that dad said or something that was heard, and it's in the subconscious. It's got a significant download, which then at the age of 6, there was a secondary download that builds on the first, and those frequencies are active in their subconscious perception. Their perception gives them their vibration. The vibration gives them their resonance. So they resonate with lack or with failure. And the universe, you have to remember, there is no judgment. There never was. No God or no nothing going to judge you at all. Never existed. What the universes say, only one thing: okay. That is the only thing the universe will say, and it happens in real time. This is where consciousness comes in. So if I say I can't afford that, universe says okay. If I say I can afford that, universe says okay. If I think I could never talk to her, she wouldn't talk to me, universe says okay. That's the only thing the universe says. So when you want to build wealth, you must make wealth consciousness. That's what I did when I had learned it. And when I moved to Thailand, I engaged wealth consciousness. I was away from Tammy, and instantaneously, I'm now a very wealthy man. Wealth consciousness is a state of consciousness that means the vibration, the way you're seeing and thinking, is holding a frequency. Like in like wealth psychology, we call a positivity quotient. So what is the positivity quotient? So this is straight neurology tied in with quantum physics. Positivity quotient means if the frontal cortex has got to be lit up. If it's lit up, the motivation centers of your brain are lit up. If it's not lit up, your subconscious is on, and the amygdala is like is a little tiny gland that lights up when it feels there's a threat or fear or worry or anything like that. It lights up. When it lights up, it drops cortisol, stress hormones, and your frequency drops. So you have to keep this lit up. Now it takes a 3-to-1 ratio to keep it lit up. What does that mean? If I perceive something negative, like let's say I lost my wallet, and there was $100 in the wallet. So that's a negative. you need to be able to reference instantly at least 3 things that you do have that are wonderful, that make you feel secure and happy. You have to have 3 positives that you can reframe immediately. And then this will stay lit up, and everything, which means your frequency is up, you stay in wealth. When you see guys like Tony Robbins, multimillionaires, billionaires, they have positivity quotients like 9 to 1, 10 to 1. So they, with someone like that, if they, let's say they lose $1 million, stock market, doesn't mean nothing to them. They just immediately, they've got 9 things they reference, and within no time at all, they'll have the $1 million back. It's all by resonance. So wealth consciousness, folks, is your number 1 biggest project, and it's much easier than you think. All it requires is that you take your attention to only seeing, thinking, focus on what you have, never what you don't have. Focus only on what you accomplished, not on what you didn't accomplish. Focus on what worked, never on what didn't work. One of the biggest problems for people, and I lived like this for decades, we trying to analyze what we're doing wrong, so we won't do it again. Don't do that. Focus on exactly what worked. That's a cybernetic principle. That's how children grow. If you watch a baby, a little child trying to learn how to eat, when the kid looks at mom and she says, hold this spoon, so the child looks, it's cybernetics. Cybernetic means it's goal-oriented. So the child lifts it up and it happens to turn, right? So it falls. Child does not analyze anything, doesn't care, just looks at the goal, the correct one. And the moment it gets one correctly, the brain locks in the neurology right away. That's how your brain works. Once you do the action correctly once, it knows, period. And then it's only a matter of refining it, fine motor control. So analysis is the exact opposite, and it slows everything down. It's like walking in glue. You just focus on what you just did. I'm working with a golfer right now. Same thing. All you do is focus on the action that actually worked. You want to see a really great book, simple little book? So, non-judgmental awareness is The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galway. That's worth its weight in gold. And it's so simple. He was a tennis pro, and all he does is use non-judgmental awareness and cybernetic principle. When I broke my back in half, I was 27 and I broke my back right in half. I healed it in 12 weeks completely with a simple cybernetic principle. And all you do is program the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind does all the work for you. And my back was sealed. That was validated by CAT scans under Dr. Sidney Goldman at Providence Hospital, Michigan.
Wow.
This is the real deal. This all really works.
So time is flying by. We are
I know, it always is like that.
We're well past, but I think you actually covered most of the questions I have. So I'm going to go into sharing my screen so folks can capture the contact information for you, and I will just have to have you back again so we can talk about some more of this, because it's so fascinating.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yes, definitely.
I'd absolutely love to.
Alrighty, so I'm going to share my screen. This is for those that are just watching or listening in. I will give you the website information. If you're watching, you can get ready to do a screenshot. So this is the website information. You can go to www.depthhealing.org. That's DEPTHHEALING.org. On Facebook, he's at Depth Healing, capital D, capital H, Depth Healing. Instagram, he's at Depth Healing, all small letters. And YouTube, he's at Depth Healing, again, initial caps for Depth Healing. And I'll let Dr. G talk to you about what his what you can find when you go to the website and the resources that he has for you. Up to you.
Yeah, so I have a great guy that's my admin, Johnny. He handles all that for me. That's all I can do to handle a phone. It's true. I lived off grid as a sensei for 11 years. I didn't have a cell phone till 2002.
Oh my gosh.
So on the website, we've got lots of testimonials because I handle all areas of life, whether it's a major corporate big shots or if it's a lady that has a broken heart, or I do a lot of broken heart work and post-traumatic stress syndrome, all of those kinds of things. Business, I handle lots of business issues. And all of the stuff that's on there, I've lived all this. So I've had cancer, I've had a broken back, I've had lots of broken hearts. I was married 13 years, I went through the divorce. I was as poor as a church mouse, now I'm rich. And I lived in a state of rage for like 20 or 30 years. All of that's gone. I'm a happy man now. So all of the various processes that I help people with, I've lived it all. And I think that's why it took me 51 years or so to acquire all of the different experiences so that I have empathy with people. I taught the military, the police, I've worked with alcoholics, battered women, lots of rape victims. So all of those different things, I have firsthand experience, and that's how I can understand people. And then I love people, and of course all my work I can extend to your pets or animals. Absolutely love animals, even plants, anything that's alive. I can't make stuff float or nothing. And and the other thing I want you to always remember, folks, because I'm also a Diksha Sevak, so I serve the divine, and I channel the divine, and it's the real divine, not the no nonsense. I don't have anything to do with La La Land, but I want you to understand that I don't have any power. There's nothing special. I'm a channel, so I'm just a conduit for information, energies, so forth and so on. There isn't any special power in me. Okay, so I just want you to know that. Don't get the wrong impression. The stuff that I'm doing is very sophisticated and took me, I have empowerments through Tibet, empowerments through India, empowerments through Japan, and that's how I'm able to operate the frequencies. That takes inner development. And my development, I participate in that with special things every day, all my life. So I just want you to know that. Don't get the wrong impression that I'm some kind of special. I'm just a
guy.
Yeah.
Well, it has been just wonderful listening to you and all the things that you shared today. Thank you so much for sharing your information, your background, and your stories. I hope the audience enjoyed it as much as I did learning about what you do. And I do definitely want to have you back so we can chat some more.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you, Vicki. And I want you to know something. Your hair is just gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. Made my day today. Yes. So I want to just remind everyone, as I always do, that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.